Sunday Times reporting that Eskom is switching off some of its units due to excess power capacity. Generation units are performing well, with the country being free of load shedding for now almost 135 days. Eskom board chairperson Mteto Nyati is with us for more on that story. Chairperson, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. Like how you've put it on your X page, you say it seems impossible until it's done, quoting the late statesman Nelson Mandela. Now, 3 years ago, we were told it doesn't matter if you change the jockey. This is a dead horse. Is it possible that we could have been lied to there?
No, Tabor, first of all, thank you so much for having us joining your show. Yes, there was a perspective that was shared with the rest of the country. I call it a perspective because different people view things differently, naturally. And that is how that team looked at things at the time. But certainly when the new team, starting with the board, joining in October 2022, when we took the time to engage with the staff and try to understand deeply what was going on, we had a completely different view. We had a view that things can be fixed, and certainly it required us to do, of course, certain things differently, but we had no doubt that this is something that was fixable.
Yeah. Many people look at this as some sort of a magical resolve of some sort that you've managed to do. But I suppose it's not really magical. There are some fundamental ABC things that you would have done. Just take us through that.
Yes. In fact, I always struggle when people talk about this being magical, because immediately you attribute things to supernatural stuff. We end up not being able to learn, because there are certain fundamental things that can be done in Eskom. Those were done and can be done elsewhere. And one of them is, first of all, you need to understand what the problem is. What we found in Eskom at the time was that the prevailing view was that we've got an aging fleet. And the answer to that problem was that you need to retire the fleet and then ask the private sector to invest in renewables. That was the prevailing view. After the board engaged with the leaders, also with the staff, we came with a different view that the problem of Eskom was unreliability of the fleet. And the answer to that was to maintain it, to fix it. But in order to fix it, you need to have people that understand how to fix it.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing.
Yeah.
You also need to have the budget in order for you to make the necessary investment in doing that. And at the same time, you also need the budget of diesel, because as you take out the equipment and fixing it, you need to at least try and minimize the impact of load shedding to South Africa. So you have to use a significant amount of diesel, And to do that, you also have to have leaders. Leadership in all of these things, leadership matters. And this is one thing that we continue not to underestimate the value of leadership. We had to have new leaders at a generation level and also at power station level, at different levels. We had to put leaders that can drive accountability and drive the discipline that was required in order for us to execute the plan that was created. And we had to also have the partnership that we needed with the original equipment manufacturers. Yeah. These are the people. If you are driving a Toyota, you need Toyota to be with you as you are fixing it, because they have the expertise. We needed the same kind of a relationship with the original equipment manufacturers. This is what Becky and his team did, to directly connect with the original equipment manufacturers. We also needed the air cover from government to help us to execute this. So the partnership with Minister Hosi, and the partnership with Minister Pravin Gordhan, that was critical because many of our staff for 5 years had not been given things like salary increases. You expect them to perform at high levels, and yet you are not recognizing them. We saw this as collective punishment, and we felt that that was something that was unfair. So we had to look at how people are being compensated, and also look at things like incentives, because incentives are key to drive the behavior. You need incentive to drive the right kind of behavior. All of these things together were the things that were done and led by, of course, Dan when he joined us in March this year. And from last year, it was led largely by Beke Nomalo. So all of these things were things that were necessary to get us to where we are today.
Yeah. With all those interventions, you still have a very strong lobby that would say, it's really strange that the chairperson of the board, coming from an IT environment, would still want to be stuck in old technology when he should be moving into a new space of renewables. What is your view and your take on how you are approaching that?
Yes, look, we've got a board that is full of engineers. We also have got full of CAs. We've got people that are specializing in labor relations. Some of them are specializing in organizational culture. We've got a very, very competent board. So it's not about the chairman. It's really about that full board. But the board itself is not the one that runs operations. It starts with Dan. Here we've got a leader here in Dan that have got huge understanding of the environment, passionate about South Africa, is laser focused on making this company to become world class. You've got all of these people, and then of course, yes, I'm there. You may think that I'm coming from IT. Yes, recently I was in IT, but I'm a mechanical engineer, and many people do not understand that you need mechanical engineering in order to generate electricity. You do not need electrical engineers, you need mechanical. So people don't get that. So I'm actually at home here, where I am within Eskom, given the challenges that Eskom is finding. You need a balance. We are not subscribing to this view of you need just one way of looking at things. You need to fix the coal fleet, and that is exactly what the team has done. But at the same time, we need to be investing in renewables as Eskom. The old team, in fact, prevented Eskom from participating in renewables. So what that means is that after a period of time, Eskom would not be relevant, would be actually go out of business, because it would not be able to generate anything. Our view as the board is we've taken the view that first we extend the life of the coal fleet to make sure that we get as much as possible. We secure the energy security in South Africa. And secondly, we participate in renewables. We want to be competing with the independent power producers out there. We believe that we've got the great expertise in the energy space. We can compete with anybody, so that is what we have allowed the team management to do. So it's not either or, we are doing both.
So, I mean, we've of course spoken a lot to the experts who have come and have spoken to us, and maybe not getting the view of Eskom quite as often as we would like to get. But I understand the first part of it. You got the people yourself as a mechanical engineer. You got the Minister of Electricity, an engineer himself. You got other expertise in the board who understand the environment. Now you even have a CEO who understands the environment. Then the next phase would have been the budgeting, the finances, and the question of the debt would always come. Say, Eskom is struggling with this thing of debt, and that's why they are unable to do what they need to do. How did you unhook yourself from that burden?
Look, we worked together with the Minister of Finance through our line, Mr. Pravin Gordon, who worked with us. We were able to get the South African government to support us. There's something called the Eskom debt relief. There's about 250 billion rand that the government committed to support Eskom over a period of 3 years. It's not something that we got immediately. Over a period of 3 years, that's what we're going to be able to get. And that goes a long way. It helped us a lot in order for us to have the room to start to make the necessary orders for parts and things to execute the plan that we had. We had to have the money, and for the spares, we also needed the money. We budgeted last financial year, we budgeted 30 billion rand of diesel. That's a lot of amount of money going to diesel. It was necessary because it was short-term pain that we had to go through so that we can be where we are now. We are where we are now using minimum amount of diesel. In fact, this current financial year alone, we have saved close to 10 billion rand of diesel compared to last year. Why? Because our equipment are much more reliable. So we are in a space that is different now. In fact, in this new financial year, or by new financial year, I'm talking about from April of this year to March of next year. That is our new financial year. We expect to be in a position where we surprise South Africa by having an Eskom that is profitable. We're able to do that. Why? Because of three things. One, because we are doing less load shedding, we are generating more sales for Eskom. So the top line is growing. Secondly, because the equipment that we have is much more reliable, we are using less diesel. So we're saving significant amount of diesel. Third, because of the support that we got from government that goes into servicing and reducing our debt, our interest charge has come down quite significantly. A combination of those things are putting us in a very healthy position so that we can be independent and be able to stand our own 2 feet as Eskom. And that's how things should be.
Now, of course, there are those who are listening to us and saying, you're having a good conversation, painting a nice picture with the chairperson of what is going on at Eskom around load shedding and so on and so forth. But there are some townships, even as we speak, they might not even be able to watch us. Maybe they'll see us on Twitter later on and saying, we are experiencing load reduction. Explain this and how, I suppose, that is a separate matter to what Eskom's performance is in terms of energy availability.
Yeah, you see, when we had load shedding, it masked some of the problems that we're having as society, and a lot of people were kind of like hiding behind that load shedding. Now that there is no load shedding, it has surfaced some of the problems that we have in municipalities and problems around illegal connections. So what is happening now is that you will find that there is a transformer that we have put in a particular area. That area was designed to support, let's say, 10,000 people. And now you've got 100,000 people connected to that transformer. The issue is you can allow those people to connect, and then you have the transformer blowing, and then it's going to take possibly 6 months to get a new transformer. Or you can do what we are doing now, which is doing load reduction, to always make sure that the load that is on that transformer is in line with its capacity. How do we solve this? It requires not just Eskom. We cannot solve this. This is a societal problem where we have, and we know for sure that people in our communities are connecting illegally. We need to hold each other accountable. We need at a local level have people, the leaders at local level, starting to have conversations about public good, how those public goods need to be protected for the benefit of everybody. and those discussions, we are not having it as South Africans, and we need to have those discussions very soon, because if we want to progress and move forward as a country, we need to hold each other accountable, and we also need to respect law and order.
Yeah. How do we then maneuver the conversation on price? Because I see a lot of people saying, well, it's good and well, as you put it, more people are now buying the goods because the goods are available most of the time. But the tariff question now has come to the fore. Even the Minister of Electricity himself saying, it's almost now becoming another kind of energy apartheid of some sort, because it's becoming unaffordable for certain segments of our society.
Look, I think it is a good conversation to be having. We have moved now from the availability of energy, the security of energy, it seems to be guaranteed. We now need to move to another leg of our mission as Eskom. Our mission as Eskom is also to make sure that we provide energy that is affordable. And this is the priority that we have given to Dan and his team, to make sure that we get to a point where we have got prices that are in line with what people are expecting. In fact, in other parts of the world, and in Europe in particular, we have seen tariffs going in the negative direction instead of increasing, decreasing. And that is what we should be aspiring to. So that goes to one, making sure that we are highly efficient, we take out unnecessary costs within our operations. So that's the first thing. But the second thing, as we move into renewables ourselves as a company, we are going to be reducing the cost of producing the electricity. A combination of those should arrest the price increase that we are seeing in the short term.
Yeah. Just expand on that a little bit, because it's a question that was posed, I think, by the EFF at some point. Why is Eskom itself not participating directly in renewables, where we have to procure them from private players? What does this new phase now of Eskom actually playing in the renewable space actually mean?
What it means is that we are going to be investing. In the past, you had independent power producers coming up with technologies like solar or wind technologies to generate renewable energy. But there is no reason why we cannot do that as Eskom. So we have decided to do the same thing as the renewables, as the IPPs ourselves. So you will be, in fact, the team, the management team has already announced our plans to go in a big way into renewables. The good thing about that is that we've got an advantage as Eskom. We have got a lot of land around our infrastructure. So we do not have to buy land, we don't have to, and also this land is close to our transmission lines. So that combination of the location that we are sitting at as a company give us a competitive advantage, which is going to play into what you were asking me around the tariffs. We need to produce electricity at a very, very low cost. If we do that, we'll be able to pass that to the consumers. So in the past, based on the strategy of the past, the leadership felt that we should not be participating in this space.
Yeah.
We think otherwise, as the new board, together with the new executive, we are all in when it comes to renewables.
I'm going to let you go, Mr. Nyati, in a moment, but I just want to put two things because of what you're raising that comes up. One is whether or not you would still be playing in the nuclear space now that you're also considering the renewable. But of course, renewables also mean an expansion of the transmission grid, and where does that put us?
Yeah, look, and so the good thing is that there is a plan for the country, which is called IRP 2023. It looks at the energy mix that we as a country should be embracing, and nuclear is part of that. Wind and solar are part of that. pumped storage is part of that, which is hydro is part of that. And we plan to be participating in nuclear as well. I'm sure you have heard the Minister of Electricity talking about 2,500 megawatts of nuclear that will be built, and the running of that nuclear power station is something that certainly we will have to do, given our experience that we've got with Kubek. We are also particularly pleased that the nuclear regulator has also given and extended the life of Kubek by another 20 years, Kubek 1. We hope that once we have completed the outage on Kubek 2, it will also get the necessary expansion. All of this talks to having a much clean energy for the country. The nuclear is clean, renewables are clean, and that helps the country to be able to export globally, because many countries globally, if you are exporting your product, they will be asking, how was this product made? If it was made through dirty energy, you are not going to be getting your products into those markets. So we need to be helping South African companies in order for them to comply with the export that is going to be going out there, and regulations that will be preventing companies from exporting if they are producing their product via coal. So this is critical. The nuclear will help, wind and solar and also hydro. All of those will help with regards to setting up South Africa as a country that is able to produce products that can be sold anywhere in the world.
Chair, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on and being a part of our show.